Hello and welcome back to another Wheel Wednesday, where I spin this wheel and then draw the prompt that I got on the wheel. Today's prompt was from Confetti 11 on DeviantArt, which was Big One with Tiny Weapon versus Tiny One with Big Weapon. And now, a little lore on this prompt. It is, at this point, by far the oldest prompt on Wheel Wednesday, at least by a person that has not previously been picked. There is one that is equally as old, like same day I was given the prompt, but then that person gave more prompts and those ones were picked at different points throughout Wheel Wednesday. So this was the oldest, and like the oldest with a person that had not previously gotten any prompts, I should say. So in this case, with Big One with Tiny Weapon versus Tiny One with Big Weapon, I gave them, different weapons, and they're obviously different. Well, they're both humanoids, but they're like different creatures. And the tiny weapon that I gave the big one is more so a bunch of tiny weapons. So that might be cheating. But I'm gonna say it's not, because then me drawing it that way is, not wrong? Question mark? Anyways, so the quote-unquote big one I do is like some sort of giant that is cloaked in clouds, or even the clouds being a part of them. And I focus on them first just because, since you can see their face, I thought it would be important to make sure that that looked good first. So I don't remember how long I spent on that, but quite a while. And I did a couple little details in there, like I gave them a tiny scar across the face. Okay, that's kind of like the only detail I lied about. Details, plural. Anyway, for the hair/clouds, I had this blue in there, but I ended up not liking it at all. Well, I guess it's one of the purple, but I tried to get rid of most of it. There was still slight little pockets of it, and like that I'm fine with. That looked good to me, but having those giant swaths of purpley blue, I did not like that. Maybe personal preference. Maybe it looked fine, and I'm just going crazy on color, but I got rid of it. Replaced it with orange. And I used orange because I was thinking about the light coming through from the top corner. I won't say top left because of how much I flip it. In the end, it's top left, but at any given point in this, it's just top corner. But the light coming down from there, going through the clouds, and then dispersing and coming out as a more orangey color on the other side. And now I'm on to the small one with, or the tiny one with big weapon. Make sure that yes, tiny one with big weapon. And I couldn't really think of a big weapon, and I didn't want to just do like comically large greatsword. So I went with a pole type weapon with like studded clubs on the end. Which, for fighting a giant, seems like it might work to some extent. And right now I'm doing it in a very static pose for the tiny one, with just holding the weapon on their shoulders. But eventually I think, wait a second, this doesn't look like a fight at all. So I basically redo the entire weapon part to try to make it look like they are swinging it. Or at least doing like a helicopter swing move. But I think that's after I give the big one their tiny weapons. Because the tiny weapons look like they are attacking. And so it didn't really make sense for the big weapon to just be chilling, doing nothing. Oh yeah, I guess detail I did for the big one was like a weird earring at the top part of the ear. I just felt like I should add something there. I don't know. I'm not thinking about it too hard. Well, only a little bit. Only like, here's a little hint at deeper story. Same with like the armor of the tiny guy having like a taller head dress helmet thing and then spiky elbow blades. Anyway, this is me doing the quote-unquote tiny weapon for the big one, which, you know, as you can see, might be cheating because it's many, many tiny weapons. And I tried to make them obviously look like light. Well, hopefully obviously look like light. I don't know. I shouldn't say obviously. But I tried to make them look like light, as if it was some sort of magic. Since clearly the big one's hands are not being shown. So here's me trying to make the other weapon look like it's actually being swung. Coming up into the foreground, and then sort of tapering off into the distance. And, you know, I'll leave it up to you if it worked or not. I would like to think it worked. But, yeah. And then I also, in a bit, try to make it look like it is deflecting some of those light swords. Or at least redirecting them. Try to increase the dynamicism of the fight. And I feel like that's all I really have to say, other than like I do a little bit of blur. I try to make it look like the edges of the staff are moving faster with the blur. No, I guess I should say right here I changed the stance of the character with the staff because beforehand they were just standing there. That doesn't make any sense if you're actually trying to swing some super long staff thing with two giant weights on the end. You're not just gonna stand there and move that like that. So gave him a little stance, spread his legs out so he can actually get a foothold while swinging a massive staff. And then I tried to add in even more little tiny light swords. Make it look more overwhelming. So like some weird helicopter move with the staff makes more sense. But also looking at it now, doing the staff this way, kind of hard to tell that it's a staff, I guess. But also, my bad, I did use the same color for the staff head as the ground that it is covering. But that's on me. I'm a big fan of using only a couple colors, or at least very few colors in artworks. Like, if I can get away with 2 or 3, I'm getting away with 2 or 3. Or at least what I think I can get away with 2 or 3. I don't know if I actually get away with it. Anyway, back to this one. Overlay, color dodge, both being used to darken, well, overlay is doing darkening of shadows in this case, and then color dodge has been used to outline stuff like the staff moving, and then I add in little tiny lightning bolts into the cloud hair. But then after I add those in, I go, wait a second, this looks a little too busy. So then I go back into the light swords and shrink them down. Once again, making them even tinier, as they are supposed to be a tiny weapon. And now here's where I started adding in like the redirection of the light swords with the staff. And I think I've already added this red to the staff, so why not add it more, like a spiraling cloth to even more show that it is being spun around, and then I add light that is also getting blocked by swords, and I am out of time for explaining things. So thank you for listening to this Wednesday rambling. Bye 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 bye.